Okay, microphone is working. Stream audio is working, so that should also be nice. Okay, so yep. Just want to make sure that I mute Chrome, stuff like this. For some reason, my mouse is behaving pretty weirdly today, but hopefully it's not going to be too much of an issue. All right, so welcome back to another live stream. I just talked to Sean, Sean Prusko. Our previous collab is called Breaking Down. Maybe, I mean, I hope you've you've heard this song before. If you haven't, check it out. But I just talked to Sean about his new song, and he agreed on me streaming it. So it's called Let You Know, and his reference mix is already pretty good. And he just basically asked me what should he improve on, or maybe if I would like take a look at mastering it or something. And I asked if he would be open if I mixed it slightly differently. So I don't think I have to make a lot of adjustments here. But what I definitely want to do is because let's just listen to his reference mix, and I'm going to explain after my thought process behind why I want to change what I want to change. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. So all in all, it already sounds very well balanced, to be honest. It's just that the vocals seem a little bit disconnected from the instrumental, and sometimes the vocal also drops behind the main lead. So this is pretty much what I think would be worth taking a look at, because if this can be fixed, this could be like a something that would improve the track a lot. Because as I've talked about this in previous streams. Let me just also load up the chat if maybe there are any questions. Hey, Super Agent Man. Yes, he's number one. So what I was saying is I kind of forgot, but yeah, I can seem to remember. But the whole point is that oh yeah, so about the vocals dropping behind the lead. So that's not really a good idea, because with every single song that has vocals in it, the lyrics are super duper important. So if anything comes in between the understandability of the lyrics or the vocal melody, that has probably need to be adjusted, unless that's the part of the concept of like some sort of something crushing the vocals, like maybe it's a dramatic effect or I don't know. But with poppy direction projects where you want the vocals to kind of like shine and be heard, then this is something that I think it's worth looking at. Now also Sean sent me a 48 kilohertz stem down, and I just wanted to very briefly touch on this, because it's not a problem in itself, because it's more of a question during recording, right? But at the same time, so for example, if I stream right now audio to YouTube, this might get converted. I mean, it also depends on I don't even know right now, but I think I'm streaming in 44.1. I'm 80% sure. But this doesn't even matter what the stream quality is, to be entirely honest. But what's going to matter in the end is how it gets distributed to Spotify. And if I get sent 48 or like whatever the double of 48 or like 96 and another double. So if I get sent at the sample rates of that, I will need to eventually, like at some point of the process, I will need to convert things to 44.1. And the reason being is because Spotify plays back at 44.1. So if I don't distribute at 44.1, it's so hard to like see these numbers. But if I don't distribute at this sample rate, then Spotify is going to convert it, and that's pretty much the last thing that you want to happen to you. That Spotify does a conversion which you have absolutely zero control over. So it's much better if you do it. But at the same time, you are at the mercy of. So if you're working at 48. And then you want to like later down the line convert to 44.1, you are going to be at the mercy of your converter. So nowadays it's not so much of an issue. Like Logic, Ableton, like all these software have figured out like a good enough conversion between these sample rates. But if you don't have to, and this is just my 2 cents, but if you don't have to work at 48, I would much recommend to switch to 44.1, just because you're skipping this conversion process. That's eventually at some point later down the line, it's going to be necessary to do it because of of how streaming DSPs work. And also just in general for audio, the standard is 44.1. So it's you don't have to really adhere to it, but it's kind of that's the standard value. So like why not work at it? And for video on the other hand is going to be 48 or like it's doubles obviously. And some people claim that they hear a difference, and I don't really believe them. But yeah, so it's I just think for audio it's much better if. So not because of me or not because of anyone else really, but it's because the whole industry kind of agreed that 44.1 is what we're gonna roll with, and so it's much like later down the line, where with every single like audio distribution platform, like 44.1 is gonna be the default. So if you're not 44.1 at any stage of the process, like once again I'm saying, so you can go 88.2 or like the double of that or double of that, and then downstream from those sample rates. That's not really going to be an issue. But if you're at 48 or it's doubles, eventually at some point some conversion will need to happen, and then you're at the mercy of that conversion process. And sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not an issue, but I don't want to like test my luck, so to speak. So this is why I if I get the chance to give advice on this, I always say that like the earlier you switch to 44.1, the better. Yeah, so this is my 2 cents about this this whole topic. But yeah, so let's get to the actual mixing process, because that's why we are here. So I didn't really touch these stems too much, other than these were pretty quiet, around like minus 50 dB some stems. So I just brought up the waveforms a little bit, and where I have it set at where it says 2x, what that means is I didn't bring up the levels 3 times, but only 2 times, because what Logic does is, if you want to change the gain, 12 dBs all at once is the most that it lets you do. So I did 12 dB, 12 dB, 12 dB on most of the stems. And where I saw that it would go above 0, which means Logic clips the audio, which is, once again, something I don't want to do. Then at those places, I only did this process twice, but then I readjusted the other stems to minus 12. And so this is the only thing that I did so far. So let's make a little bit of a order these stems a little bit. So how I prefer, and this is how, once again, this is just my 2 cents, but how I think is the best to kind of like make sense out of a lot of stems that that might come into you. If you maybe mix a song that has like 80 stems, it's going to be the same process, which is that I prefer to have the kick drum on top, and then the bass next. And then, as you notice, like more important stems in the instrumental, like whatever they are, like leads, or like some songs the pads are gonna be the most important. so this could really be anything, but I'm going to put them higher and higher, you know, in terms of how important they are. But at the same time, I'm going to keep the vocals at the bottom. And the reason I'm doing this is because if I scroll up, I want to like right away see the, you know, the kick and all the important stuff. And if I want to check how the vocals are doing, I could just, you know, scroll down like this, and I don't have to like look anywhere else. So it's pretty much about convenience, but this is how I prefer to do it, and this is how I got used to it over the years, and this is like working very well for me. So I'm just going to order, just by, you know, kind of looking at the waveforms a little bit, and also these are going to be the vocals, right? No, so this is main vox and ad libs. Yeah, so these are probably going to be the vocals. Awesome, so let's check in with the kick first. I'm going to make it a little bit louder. Okay, so the transient has a little bit of a clicking going on, which I think I want to tame just a little bit. Maybe I might also, so this one I can only tell if the, or like once the bass is also there, and I just want to move everything to like to the grid properly. Yeah, this is fine. So this can only be decided once the bass is also playing, but I will, you know, take a look if the kick drum length is okay, or maybe it needs to be shortened, or maybe somehow it needs to be brought up a little bit. So let's actually first try out some things with this clickiness. On certain instruments this would help, but on the kick drum it probably won't be a good idea. So oh, wait, I still kick behind. Okay. Okay, so whenever I hear a bass that's first of all it's widened, and so meaning it's not, you know, completely mono. And whenever I hear a bass like this one, it's occupying a lot of space, and it's very heavy. So in these cases, I also want to think about whether I want the kick drum to also be like matching this type of vibe, or if I'm going to the opposite direction where I want to leave more room to the bass. So it's going to depend a lot on the original concept of the song. So I'm just gonna listen. So I think the track would benefit from a little bit. So I need to like find a way to control the bass, at least this widened effect. But I think it would benefit from a little bit more bass in general. So I'm going towards that direction. Now, one thing I like to do with like these, you know, kind of sort of phasing or like moving basses is to make sure that how I'm processing the sides has to be like a dynamic process, and I prefer to use this compressor for this job, because I can separate the sides and so the mono signal and the side information, and it's pretty reliable. Like it doesn't really create additional distortion, like unless I turn on to create some, and it's also yeah, it's just pretty reliable, I would say. It doesn't really have like a very recognizable sound that it would do, even though like some people say that, you know, these Elysia units are like super rich in sound and whatnot. It's I don't really feel that way. So I just, you know, I on the other hand, I really trust the calculation of how it does stuff. So it's just, you know, it's just a good good choice for these types of situations. So obviously I'm going to turn off the channel linking. And I want this thing to be relatively aggressive, but not so much so. So essentially what I did right now was only to control a little bit the sides. If I want, later on, I can still enhance the side information by just, you know, widening the whole thing. But then what I'm going to widen after this processing is going to be a little bit more streamlined, so that the side doesn't like move up and down, and it's more and less and more and less, because the compression takes care of this. So yeah, it's really about controlling it a little bit. But I want to first of all EQ this. So let's see what happened compared to the original bass. Not a lot, but it wasn't my intention anyway to like tweak these to like to be completely a different thing. But I just wanted a little bit more control, and at the same time I wanted to like give it a little bit more room. So this is I think is going to be good enough for us now. And let's add the lead. So I believe this is going to be the next most important element. So I think it will definitely need some sort of a compression, because the dynamic range difference between these parts and these parts are going to be a little bit too much, in my opinion, at least. So I don't want to make the lead lose too much of its dynamics, because it seems like that, at least in the reference, that the leads are less, you know, on the aggressive side, but it's more about, you know, them kind of like filling out the space, and they are, you know, coming in and coming out, and so it's not necessarily something that I want to be present all the time, but I wanted the notes to feel a little bit longer. That's why I you know, like added this transient designer in, just so these the notes to these you know, how the notes play out into the sustain is going to be elongated a little bit. And I'm also thinking about enhancing a little bit, just a very, 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 very tiny bit, the stereo field of it. So that's what I'm gonna play a little bit. So yeah, let's get these in. So this is the prime example of something where the transients are not super important, because they are playing from the lead anyway. It's about the layering that these additional overtones from this bell type of sound is giving us. that matters here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit these transient points, which are pretty much only clicking, and then it's not really giving us any other benefit. Maybe I'm also going to try out this declicking. I just want to check what's audible from this in mono. It's enough, so it's not really an issue. So let's check in with the vocals. So in this instance, I'm not entirely sure what channel strip I want to use first. It's just, you know, I'm thinking whether I want this to be later on a little bit sounding, you know, how it is, but I can only like really test this by, you know, like sweeping through it, because a lot depends on the vocal recording quality, to be honest, when these decisions to be made, because the more things that I want to enhance here, the more I'm leaning towards the SSL channel strip in this instance, and the less I want to do this, the more I'm leaning towards the Neve 88 RS emulation, so I'm just gonna check.
I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way.
Okay, so I'm probably leaning towards the Neve here, and it seems like that at 600 is gonna be the spot where I need to push this, because the vocal is a little bit too like airy in a sense. That I think is what needs to be taken care of here.
I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. You know, I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
And also sometimes what I do, and this is much more noticeable with the SSL, for example, that I'm gonna push at, like, I'm just gonna set to the lowest amount possible on the EQ, and I'm going to push it relatively high up. And in theory, this is doing nothing, but in practice, I'm engaging the circuitry that's doing this, and even these model emulations. So these plugins are really properly emulating the real units, so that I'm getting a little bit more of its character like this way. And because I can always come in with an EQ later on and just low cut it wherever I need it, I don't really need to be worried about if this creates like any sort of mess, because I can just fix it super easily later. And like, not to mention that with vocals there's nothing really in those ranges, so you're only going to get the benefit without any sort of drawback. So like, now obviously this also depends on the vocal itself, whether this is a good idea or not, but here I believe it's going to be a good idea.
I'm scared to let you know.
I'm thinking whether I want to breath this first, or like the S also at first, so I'm just gonna check it. The only reason I don't really like to do these things is because it introduces a very noticeable amount of latency into the session, which is not my favorite thing. But what can I do? Not the noise. What is this? The breath. Where is it? Breath control. Okay.
I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours. I'd rather be alone. I'd rather be alone, right? I'd rather be alone. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow.
It doesn't even seem to work properly, so I might later on need to adjust this breathing thing a little bit, like separately, or I might want to raise the stem level and then just drop down the fader later on. I can decide about this later. Is this something that's important here or not? I'm just okay. So that's not important here.
Maybe I'm so. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you got
At this point, I'm pretty happy with the overall sound of the vocals, so I don't really want a lot of like more like character, like a lot more like, you know, like very obvious processing added to it. So, but at the same time, I want this type of like a little bit like more vroom, vroom, vroom type of compression. So this unit is doing it perfectly, and the legacy version, which should be this, yeah, legacy. This does not really emulate the circuitries all that well, to be honest, compared to, like, for example, the gray version of this same plugin. Yeah, like this one. Oh wait, I removed the wrong plugin. So, for example, this one would be like much more noticeable what this is doing, but I don't really want super noticeable stuff right now. I just want the, you know, the type of compression that this unit is bringing without all that much added stuff right now. So I'm just going to play with this one.
If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. But now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes.
Amazing. I'm just going to tame a little, really slight amount more. Probably I want to keep a higher ratio for this purpose.
Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
So once again, what I'm thinking right now is that I want the lyrics and like the vocal to come on top to stay on top of the lead, you know. And so for this to happen, I will need like some sort of like a reasonable amount of compression. And, you know, with this particular vocal, like I can even see the waveform that this was already like processed like one way or another. So I might not need like limiting at the end. Sometimes I mean, not sometimes, but I would say 80 or like 90, even 90% of the cases, I'm going to use a brick-wall limiter at the end of the processing chain as well. If I'm not, if I want to be 100% sure that the peaks don't go into to mess up the thing. But I, you know, with this particular song, especially listening to the reference, I believe this wants to be a little bit more dynamic. So I'm going to also try to respect this as much as possible. And I think, honestly, I think the bulk of the work is already done. So right now we just need to kind of find a place for the rest of the stems, and it should, you know, pretty much be what it wants to be.
Right now, I try to take it slow.
So one thing I'm thinking when I see stems like this is that, for example, for the breakdowns, I might want lower levels than what's in the drop parts, for example. So I'm already going to separate these into different channels.
Self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end.
I really like the vibe of these pianos. I want a little really tiny amount more sustain.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again.
Just so the notes, so between the transient and the next note, it doesn't disappear completely, because right now the difference between like this point and this point is a little bit too much. So this is the only thing that I wanna do, and I prefer to not use directly. I mean, you know, a transient shaper is also a compressor of some sort, but I don't want to use another type of compressor unit directly, because I feel that it might affect the transient of it a little bit too much, which I just don't want to do. Here I'm only concerned about the sustain.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it. Maybe I don't deserve it.
we might have gone a little bit overboard with the low end.
You know, I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you.
Awesome. Hey Franco, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hey Joel, what's up? Yeah, I mean, of course, manually, like messing with the breed stuff is also gonna be like on the table later on if that needs to be done. It's just when it's obviously whenever there's like reasonable amounts of compression going into a vocal, like of course the breaths are going to be like amplified. I mean, not the breaths are amplified, but everything else gets a little bit lowered compared to the breaths. So in those cases, I might wanna. So when we are done with the whole thing and everything is in context, I might wanna take a look at it with how the breaths are doing. But I personally really like this breath control plugin. It normally is doing its job, like I would say, 80% of the time really well, but there are always like some vocals that it just kind of refuses to understand that there's a there's some breathing going on that it would need to process. So yeah, later on we might need to like address this manually, of course.
You know, I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow.
Also, just to if Joel is also in the chat, just to plug ourselves with our latest song. It's called I Don't Need You. It's also already out now. So in case you haven't checked that out, make sure to do it.
But now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love.
And with this particular project, it's not a problem to get rid of these silences. Of course, there's an automated method of doing this, but this is something I'd like to do manually because, well, partly because I don't really trust the automated method, but also I just think so the main reason why I got used to doing this is because this was more true, like let's say 2 years ago, but every now and then I still get sessions like that where people forget to remove the dithering, and this is like most commonly an issue coming from Ableton and FL Studio, because they, for some reason, they have the dithering enabled by default. So most people don't, who don't, know what the dithering is, they just don't care about it. So also, while we're at it, what's dithering? So dithering is a process that's designed to, so if you listen to audio loud enough, then it at some point, because in the digital realm, how you're listening to music, at some point it's going to be zero. So at that point it's going to be just silence. There's not going to be anything else. And one step or one bit above that, it's going to be like something. And if you're listening to something pretty loud and then there comes a quiet section, it might happen, for example, on 16-bit, and this is why this was invented, it might happen that between this 1 bit and the 0 bit, you will pretty much just hear the audio dropping out. Essentially, it's going to be at 0, so it's going to be silence. Like reality is infinite bit depth, but when you're working with audio, like normally, like inside your DAW, you're working at 32-bit. It's called 32-bit float, and it's complicated, but like even at 24-bit, this is never really going to be an issue, because the human hearing, I would say, like you're noticing differences, in terms of like from one point to another around 70 dB if your hearing is like really healthy. So but at 24-bit, the depth itself is going to be around 120. I don't want to say stupid stuff, but I believe it's like 120 dB roughly. So you're never going to like notice a dropout, because your hearing, the human ear's dynamic perception stops before you would be able to hear the difference between 1 bit and 0 bit, if this makes sense. So dithering was designed for more for 16-bit type of conversions. So if you're working the whole moral of the story up until this point, and especially if you're sending me stems, the whole point of the story is that if you're stemming down stuff at 24-bit, dithering is absolutely never gonna ever be needed. but also dithering is only needed when you're mastering. So it's like when you're exporting the final version of a certain song, where you just don't want this final 1 bit to 0 bit dropout difference to be ever be audible. But also, like, we are working at such low levels right now. It's like, you know, like we are not in the 70s or in the 80s anymore, where people didn't even reach like -2 or like -3 like, you know, dBs on their peak output. So, and now we are talking about like -3 LUFS, so which is just it's just so loud that, you know, dithering is just never really gonna be like an issue. It's like we are talking about stuff that's you know, like 100 dB quieter in terms of your human perception than what would matter. So it's just never really gonna be a thing.
If you love someone, you gotta let them go.
Oh, but yeah. So why I was explaining this is because I started to like kind of intuitively remove these silent parts, because I just wanted to make sure that there's no dither noise accumulating on stems that are not playing. But once again, with sessions that I get nowadays, this is like less of an issue, because more people know about this. First of all, that dithering is just not something that you would ever need. It's just, you know, just a fancy word that doesn't really help us nowadays.
Gotta let them go. You gotta let them. If I do this my own, the higher that we climb, the harder we fall. I don't wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone.
So once again, what I'm thinking just by looking is that I think it doesn't need the same amplitude for this build-up part, the bass, as what is in the drop. Otherwise, there's not going to be enough difference, so that there's going to be no impact for. I mean, you could argue that this is not really like a full-on drop. Like it doesn't really want to like impact you as much, but at the same time, you still want some sort of a dynamic difference between like a chorus coming in compared to something that's before those sections. So I'm just thinking about like maybe lowering this section, maybe just 2 dBs. Maybe I'm gonna like filter it or of some sort, or like maybe filter it automating the filter going into. I think that's gonna be
I'm scared to let you know
the method.
I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone.
Exactly. So far so good. Let's introduce the other stems.
Shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on.
So in the reference mix, I think the acoustic guitars are not super important. They are more about giving the vibe, you know, that an acoustic guitar can introduce. So this is what I'm also gonna do here, is I'm not going to respect the transients all that much, but I want the harmonic content.
I wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. End up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know I don't wanna end up all shattered pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to let you know I don't wanna scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to tell.
So compared to the reference mix, and I hope that the difference is also audible to YouTube, that I think the vocal is now a lot more controlled right now, and there's a lot more like, you know, the body of her vocal is a lot more like stable. So this is what we achieved with simply EQing and then, you know, compressing it after. So yeah, let's listen from here and introduce the effects then.
I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone. Everything. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one. Tell me why.
And when all the effects are you know, on one stem, sometimes I might want to separate them and do a little bit additional processing, especially on these, you know, sweep ups and sweep downs. Sometimes I feel they're a little bit naked, or like, and by this I mean is that the sustain of them isn't as, so how these sweep downs are disappearing into silence is a little bit noticeable in the context of what's going in what's going on in terms of the music itself. So in these cases, I want to introduce a little bit more reverb with a pretty long tail, obviously, because that's what I want to fix. So let's just listen if this solves the issue that I
You
have.
could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one. Tell me why don't I want it? You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one. Tell me.
Yeah, so I think this is much better.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again.
Yeah, with this one, it's not gonna be important.
At the end, I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone.
So I'm not sure if the reverb tail going into the drop is needed.
I'm scared to let you know.
No, I was wrong. It's needed.
I'm scared to let you know. I'm scared to let you know.
However, at this point, I think I want to go for that.
At the end, I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yes,
I might just in general move these two hits to a different channel and over their volume.
no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
Where did you learn all the things? I mean, it's trial and error. I studied classical music for 15 years, I think, long time, and I still practice. I'm a violinist by, you know, like I don't work right now as an orchestra player because I just, you know, like my back doesn't really like sitting and playing the violin all day, but also like it's not really a job for me, you know, just as a person, knowing who I am, you know, I work better like in terms of like alone on something, and also like I much prefer the background rather than the stage work. So it's like, you know, I don't really like performing as much as I like doing stuff in the background, like much like as this. And how did I learn it? It's like, you know, I've been also like making like electronic music for like also like close to 15 years. I don't know. I started these things like of course when I was 11 years old. I wasn't really thinking about like proper stuff. I was just, you know, making happy hardcore and all this like retarded stuff when I started out. But like over time, you're also going to just by listening, you know, you're going to like pretty much learn all these things as well. Yeah, spot on. Okay, I'm happy to hear that you confirmed it. But yeah, this is also why I think this is the case, because it's also this is how it is in the reference. So it's just, you know, the vibe that we are looking from from what the acoustic guitar is gonna bring us.
I wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone.
Yeah, I automatically put it away, but I'm just gonna listen if it's round.
I don't wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from.
Funnily enough, I still want this to be a little bit longer. Maybe I'm gonna do it like this.
I don't wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it.
This is it, I think.
Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I don't wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
So I just wanna listen to the kick on speakers for a second.
If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
I can't quite pinpoint it. You know what's you know, like, it's not really that it's bothering me, but something does not sound like, you know, natural. Something does not sound about the kick like, you know, contextual in a sense. Addictive Case, I also have it, so yeah, please check it because it's a really nice piano.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it.
Maybe it's just a tiny bit more digital than what I would like, and you know, these emulation plugins can easily fix these types of situations, but maybe, you know, this is not going to be the way to go. Let's just check how it works.
I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it. Gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta lay out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
So because the bass is now getting a little bit, I mean, in my opinion, it's better, but at the same time, it's occupying way more space than previously. So I'm just going to mess with the controls a little bit before we go to the output limiting stage. Just so just to make sure that you know, we are not putting that much you know, strain on the output limiter when we get there.
You know, I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you
So what I was messing with in the loop is that I wanted to like get the hi-hat and hi-hats, you know, like a little bit closer to each other, so that there's not that much dynamic difference. So just so you know, it you know, it comes on contextually speaking, it's going to be like a better fit for all the other sounds. Yeah, jazzish preset. I'm gonna check it out. It's like legitimately, it sounds really good. So to this one, I would definitely add a little bit more reverb and maybe a little bit of a chorusy type of effect. Well, we'll see, because you know, it sounds like this where I hear that this is a digital square, like this is coming from a plugin. But with these sounds, I want to like find a way to make these sound a little bit more like as if it's like something from the real world, you know, in a sense. Yeah, so let's just check out the chorus effect that I have in mind. Maybe it doesn't always work, but when it works, it really truly gives that, you know, like that missing 5% that you know, a certain sound might need. Okay, this is not it. So maybe we're going to leave it as is. I feel that it's kind of missing something, but it's not obvious to me, like what's. I think I found it. Yeah, this is it. So this is also something I talk about this in pretty much every stream that I make, that, you know, this hyper dimension is just, you know, it's super utilized in a sense that this is like a, sometimes when you, like what just happened with me right now is like when you don't know that, you know, so when you feel that something is missing but you don't really know what was that exactly, 80% of the time this is going to be the solution. So it's just such a, you know, such a great like effect in general. Okay, let's check this stem. This is part of the lead. Also this part I'm going to be putting on a filter. Just so when it disappears it's not abrupt, but it continually fades out in a sense. I'm scared to let you know, no way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold, yeah, sometime. Okay, so I think we are pretty much there. So this is the time to work in the vocals properly. So I'm just gonna bounce the vocals in place, just so that I don't, you know, copy around the UAD effects. Hey Carl, it affects a little bit, but you know, not as much. And also, like, at some point I need to get used to it anyway. So it's like, you know, why not start earlier than later? And you know, if something like even with stuff that I, you know, quote unquote finish on stream, you know, like I'm gonna take a little bit of a break and I'm gonna come back, you know, off stream and listen just to be sure that it's, you know, it's really as good as it can be, because otherwise I would not really be, you know, comfortable charging people money for, you know, something that, you know, that to make me create content, or like, you know, in a sense. So of course I want the best results. So like with everything that I finish here, because that's why I'm saying it finish, is because I'm also gonna take a couple of listens at least, you know, after the stream is done, just to be sure that it's, you know, it's as good as it can be. But yeah, I also want to explain as much about the thought process as I possibly can. So if you've watched any of my previous streams, then you already know what's coming, is I'm going to add the same hyper/dimension unit to the vocals. And with the hyper, I'm not really so I generally start at 0%, because with this one I'm not so not every track needs the hyper effect, but every track pretty much needs the dimension effect, which is how I do it. Is always I leave the dimension size at 0%, because I don't want the effect to be noticeable. The higher you go, the more you know, the more milliseconds this dimension effect is going to be like put like it's going to be increased, and I don't really want it to be noticeable. I just want to the listener to feel that, oh, this is so wide, but I don't know how it is so wide. And like this is the exact plugin that does it. And there are other, you know, plugins that are working as vocal doublers, and they work with the same principle. But I just haven't heard a plugin as good as this one. So this is why I personally use this one. And generally speaking, 10% of this effect is going to be more than enough to achieve the effect that I'm looking for. But I'm just gonna like listen what sounds best, and I'm gonna like stick to that.
You know, I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
Okay, so around 20%, and I added a little bit of a hyper just so we have it. And now comes the time for setting up the delay, and I want a little bit like ambient type of sound. Now this is my go-to delay, where I pretty much almost always start. It's gonna be the Serum Effects ping pong delay, and I'm not 100% convinced that this is what we need to use here, but I'm just gonna like play around with it and see if this if what I have in mind works or not.
Maybe I'm self-sabotage. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it.
This is again something that I've explained in previous streams, but I'm gonna do this once again, that I'm going to put a reverb after the ping pong delay, because you know, as good as it sounds, it's still kind of a like a digital sounding something. It's like it's kind of obvious that, you know, it's a computer generated thing. So to make it sound a little bit more natural, I'm going to put a reverb after it. And this is also like initially why I started doing this was because I tried to counteract the reducing the width, because like many times with ping pong delays, especially with the Serum FX ping pong delay, it's, you know, it's 100% left right, so it's like there's no so it can be like way too wide in certain situations. I'm not sure if this is going to be the case here, but yeah, I'm just going to listen and play around with it. But I initially started doing this reverb countermeasure essentially to do this against the width reduction, so that with the reverb I'm creating an artificial widening after it. But in general, it's just, you know, on a conceptual level, it's kind of a good idea to like you know, bait the delay a little bit into this reverb, just so it sounds a little bit more natural.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could
I don't want the higher frequencies.
Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me a maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything. I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me
I'm just gonna try to recreate what the reference idea has. Once again, as I've explained this also like many times, if I can, then I'm gonna try to respect what the artist intended to do. Even if I recreate the delays and the reverbs, I'm gonna like at least attempt to recreate what he or she had in his project. So this is what I'm gonna try now.
maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything. Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know.
There are no artificial delays here, but I think I'm gonna add something here and
The
do that
one,
too.
tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe
Yeah, there's already enough from the quarter delay. I'm also going to label them accordingly because sometimes, especially when I create like 6 separate delays, sometimes I just get completely lost like which channel is which, and yeah, I just prefer to label them like this. And this one's gonna be the reverb, and my plugin of choice in again 99% of cases is gonna be the 480L emulation and the random halls starting preset. And I'm going to do my standard stuff, which is I'm at this point I'm doing this out intuitively. So my goal here is to get it to a point where the mid range of the reverb is not too much, because I think especially with like this type of song where there's a lot of room for ambience, I'm gonna go with longer reverb times as well. So I just don't want a lot of like rumbling in it. And of course I'm going to, and this is also like partly the reason why I'm using these on separate channels instead of like using stands, or like, I mean, I could do this on stands as well, but it's just not as reliable as using it on separate channels. But this is partially the reason, because I want to like differently process the reverb than, for example, the main vocal channel or like the delays. And so this is just a very easy way to do this. And also I'm gonna have additional control over this situation, because here when the drop is gonna come in, I'm going to also hard cut the reverbs and the delays, and I might also like automate them up a little bit just for a little bit more tension. But we'll see about that later as we dive more into the process.
give me everything that I
But this is the part where it seems to be like a little bit too much. Also, I don't need the top end. And what's also like sometimes a good idea is to de-ess the vocal going into the delay and going into the reverb. And so I'm just gonna like check how this one sounds.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it. Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels
I want to double this anyway because of the effect that I just described earlier. But now in the drop, I feel we are losing a little bit of lyrics understandability because of the delays. So I want to like dial it back from it later on a little bit.
I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you gotta let them go. What if
I'm not sure what has just happened there. It's probably a bug. And you know, like a year ago when I first attempted streaming, whenever I try to like do something on stream, like everything was like buggy like this. It's just I don't know. Like it seems like some things like some things are still not properly 100% fixed when it comes to streaming audio, but it's like still it's much better than how it was. Yeah, I'm really happy that you know you guys are enjoying these streams, and like this is obviously my goal, you know, to like explain as much stuff as I go, because this is, you know, how it's in my opinion this is how it works, because you can buy courses, but it's not really the same thing as, you know, like someone actually doing the work and like then explaining like all these like very contextual things, because also like the more songs you work on, the more problems you're eventually gonna face. Like after some point, I would say that they kind of repeat themselves. And if you've managed to once figure out a solution, for example, to, you know, phasing bass lines, you know, like to tame it like this, you know, then this is something that you will be able to reuse. But at first, you gotta be able to either figure it out yourself, or you know, you can just take the kind of the easier way by, you know, by watching like either me or like anyone else who does these types of streams, explaining how to how it's easiest to do these things. Because, you know, I might also do some things that are not the, you know, the most convenient way of doing them, but also the most like they will get the most the best result in terms of its quality. So, you know, there are more than one way of doing, you know, the same processing. This is something also that I always try to emphasize, is that, you know, it's one thing that I do something in that particular situation, but for a different situation I would do something else. So, you know, it's really super contextual. But yeah, this is why why it matters that we talk about, you know, the context also. It's like in any given song. So it's not, you know, hopefully it makes sense what I'm talking about. But yeah. I want the V fall. Also, what this is something that's also comes with experience, and if you're watching streams like this, you're already gonna know this, that in the case of delays, even if the lead vocal has some sort of an expressive like stuff, but you can see that this word is not coming to the grid. Now I might not need to fix this on the lead vocal itself, but I might want to like fix this on the delay, because it's much more noticeable if the delay is like also like delays are not really supposed to be all that expressive in a sense as the lead vocal. So they might want to be sounding more perfect than anything else. Sometimes, again, this is true 80% of the time. Maybe we're at the 20 when it's not gonna be true. So let's just listen how this sounds. But my gut feeling is that the delay is going to be sounding better if it's closer to the grid rather than being expressive and a little bit that way. The V is what's not perfect here, I feel, at least. But also I might wanna the lead vocal as well, just to listen to it. We have nothing to lose. So in the lead vocal, this very clearly does not sound natural, so we're gonna cut from it. This is also not perfect, but I want to do something. Pretty nice, pretty nice. So what now? What I want now is I'm going to leave the bouncing of the other stems for a little bit later. But right now, because I'm already happy with how these are sounding, I'm going to commit these into audio prints, because I don't want the tails to be as long as they are currently. I want to have control over these individually. And of course you can do this with automation, but as I've explained this many times, I don't trust the automation inside Logic. So and this is also like just much easier, for me at least. Deal with it like this, then boom, I have completely controllable tails, which probably I'm gonna end around where the vocal starts.
Baby, I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know. Scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Self-sabotage. Sabotaging again. don't I want it? Maybe.
So right now I don't necessarily want to commit just yet. Yeah. So that's why I also want to like respect the delays as much as I possibly can, and hopefully you like how they're sounding right now.
Self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you got.
Okay, I think time to dial in the details. So I'm going to print the delays, and I'm going to do these cuts where it makes sense.
You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why.
Same deal with the reverbs. This bounce is going to take a little bit longer, just due to the effect of the UAD plugin on the chain. I've been doing this for almost 1.5 hours. It didn't even really feel like it. I don't have anything useful to say right now. That's why I'm also not saying anything. It's not really a good streamer value, but I just really can't say anything smart. Okay, so let's do the same thing what I did with the delay, but at these points. Also, what I explained about the fade outs is that in previous streams, I mean, is that, you know, they are very important, especially parts like this where they go into like absolute silence, so that you don't want any clicks or pops to happen. So even if you don't trust your listening environment, you know, just put those fade outs there, and you know, it's just so you can be 100% sure that there's no clicks or pops happening there.
Why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather.
I think this is very good that it drops out here, but what I want is I want a little bit more, to be a little bit more dramatic than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate the effect up a little bit.
I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take.
Also, just to explain this a little bit,
Tried to take.
why I'm not automating the faders is because I'm looking at this as so I look at the mixers, or like, sorry, I look at the faders as something how I'm balancing the mix, and so I don't want to automate these, because the time I automate these, like I mean, of course there are, you know, I could set it to left or right or whatnot, but I don't want to. So I want my mixing workflow intuitively goes for the faders, and set it and forget it. So the faders should be, you know, ideally in my workflow, they should be set at the same part, so that the next day or like, you know, like weeks later, I open up the session, I don't want to see like a lot of fader automations, because then, you know, I just won't be able to figure out what's happening at that point. So I prefer to use the automations with different plugins. Now I could just use a simple gain plugin. Over the years I got really used to the FabFilter Pro Q3's like output level line. So it's just, this is what I'm using, but there's no particular reason for why I use this. But there is a reason why I'm not using the fader, is because of you know, like understanding the session just at a glance, and to be able to adjust it. And also what you know, when I was a I was a beginner, what happened to me many times is like I automated the fader, and then I ended up like adjusting it, like thinking that, you know, so this needs to be lowered a dB, so I lowered it a dB, and then, you know, the next day I open up the session and it's still at 0, and so I was like, what was happening? Because I forgot that I automated the fader. So this is why I don't do this anymore, and I probably never will. So let's just check out how this is gonna sound like. Probably doesn't need to be starting this early.
Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know.
Delay is a little bit too much, but the reverb is, I think, is perfect.
Don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone.
So right now I feel in the context of the whole thing, the leads are a little bit, could be a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna try to attempt to do this.
I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold it.
I'm not sure if this is missing here on purpose or not. I'm gonna just check.
But now it feels like no.
Oh no, this is because it's here.
You gotta let them go.
No, then this is on purpose. Okay, then it's good. It's just my stupidity, kind of. Because I expected the same thing to play out twice, but you know, why would it? So I'm gonna do the same tension automation, what I did here.
That was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I get slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back.
There's going to be an ad lib there to fill out that space, so I'm not too worried about that.
Maybe I'm self-sabotaging again. Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't fall in the deep end. You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow.
When the output stuff is going to be active, I'm going to be like artificially lowering the, you know, the output level a little bit, going towards the drop, because right now because just simply because of the section difference, like there's more sounds playing here than what's playing in the drop, and so the drop feels a little bit like quieter than the breakdown itself, but it's a relatively easy fix. Hey Sam, what's up? Thanks for tuning in.
I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out.
Okay, so I'm hearing some sidechain as well, so I'm gonna.
I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no. Let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. What if I decide to let them go? Gotta let them go.
So just for a little bit of a spice, I'm going to try some extra delay into this part where nothing is really playing, because even the block is happening at the same time as the vocal. So I'm just go.
Let them go. What if I decide to give this my all?
Let's try the reverb first. Maybe we don't even need to play.
You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. What if I decide to give them go? What if I decide to give this my all? Gotta let them go. What if I decide to give this my all? Gotta let them go. What if
Sorry. Yeah, so this is just a little bit of a reverb going into this section where nothing else is really playing, just to like transition. I'm also thinking about maybe automating it up until the point where the new section comes in.
let them go? What if I decide to give this my all? What if I decide to give this my all?
I don't hate this, but then I also need to automate the out.
What if I decide to give this my all? Yeah, the higher that we climb, the higher. Gotta let them go. What if I decide to give this my all?
Okay, time for the ad-libs and the harmonies. So let's start with the harmonies. I see some level differences between these parts, so I'm already like this.
You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve it.
So at first listen, it's pretty obvious to me that this is going to need to be de-essed a lot more. In general, for doubles and harmonies and ad-libs, maybe also these s's and sh and like these types of sounds in general, you don't really benefit from having these coming from multiple sources. Like it's bad enough that they come from one source, because they are, you know, kind of like annoying, especially if like, I mean, this is not the case here, just to be like just so you understand, but there are some questionable quality vocal recordings where, you know, the s's and the sh type of sounds are just not properly registered by either the you know, analog to digital converter, or the microphone was kind of like not so good, and so these s's are always kind of like problematic. But in general, this is just a general idea that if you have the lead vocal that has like pretty much solved, like, you know, perfectly sounding s's and sh type of sounds, then from the background layers you don't really need these, at least not as much. Like, I don't want to put them away completely up until the point where the words are not, you know, even articulated, but I want to like reduce them like quite a lot. So let's check.
You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe.
I like it. And also that I put some compression before it, just so that it's going to like level match a little bit, like these sections get to each other a little bit better. Now I'm also not sure if like this needs to be adjusted, so I'm gonna like listen to this first before I would do any more like EQ moves or like any more compression moves. Just wanna check this.
Now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours too.
So in terms of its peak, it's like I can see that there's a difference, but I don't really hear it, so it's probably good to go as is. I still might want to do something to the dynamics. I'm just thinking, maybe let's go with the stereo adjustments first.
Thing that I wanted, you could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow.
So the question in these types of situations, whether it's worth it for the harmonies to also set up the, you know, like the same separate amount of layering as what we did with the lead vocals, in terms of like the delays and the reverbs, to put them on separate channels and work that way, or just put them onto inserts. And I think here the way to go is to put on inserts. And I'm also going to like limit these a little bit, shave off the top of these peaks.
No way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
And then we'll see if I hear any type of benefit that you know, these things would need to be transported into different channels, then I'm gonna do it, obviously.
You could give me everything that I wanted. You could be the one, tell me why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free, why don't I want it? Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free, I'll come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. But now it feels like no way out. Set me free, if I come back, I'm yours. Oh, yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. Someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them. I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go.
I'm not 100% happy with the tonal balance overall in terms of like I feel that the low end is a little bit too much, but at the same time I like the impact already. So the moves I'm going to be making, I'm going to make on the output later. But I feel that the low end might be a little bit overpowering, just slightly. Hey Charlie, what's up?
Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. Why? If I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you
I just want a little bit more details with this loop.
no way out. Set me free if I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold you. Sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
I don't need so much from the clap from this loop as much as I would need from the hi-hats, so I just wanted to like put a put the limiter to like adjust the claps.
If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
I'm still not 100% happy with this, but
If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. What if I decide to give this my all? Ever higher than we.
and for the ad-libs, I want to once again put the dynamics a little bit closer to each other. Like I don't want these words to be lost, because in the reference also I feel that some of the ad-libs are a little bit too far behind and some of them are going too forward. So I just want to like match these a little bit.
This is my all. Ever high. No way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you.
So with ad-libs, without looking, I'm going to get rid of these lows.
No way out. Set me free.
So like if these are just ahs and ahs, then
Mess from my heart that was bleeding.
no, there are definitely s's. So just so that I wanna repeat the de-essing thing. Also, because we are after the compression and after the de-essing, I want to like peak control a little bit. Once again, just thinking ahead in terms of like what's gonna happen on the output. I don't want unnecessary peaks, and like if I don't distort with the brick wall limiting on the ad-libs or like the background vocals, then I'm gonna be like pretty liberal with the usage of them, and I'm going to like like use them rather aggressively, just because I gain like so much more headroom by removing these like really unnecessary peaks, and then there's not going to be any sort of like like over pushing the end limiter at the end.
No way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yes. But now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to.
Yeah, so pretty much all I care about is I don't hear any audible distortion. If that's solved, then it's good to go. And I'm going to copy this one, yeah, the reverb here, just so these things are in the same space.
This is my all. Ever higher than we climb, the harder we fall. I don't wanna end up.
And I'm not going to need these.
This is my all. Ever higher than we climb, the harder we fall. I don't wanna end up Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be up for Sean to decide, like whether he likes my idea here. But I would definitely go with like so much more ambience compared to the reference when it comes to these ad libs, just so that, you know, they transition, especially at this part, so that they transition away from one to another. Yeah, probably like for the best result, probably it would be better if I had the, you know, all the hi-hats and the claps differently, I mean separately, unless, you know, you already like it how it is, because I think right now it sounds okay-ish, but I probably would add a little bit more transient for the hi-hats, but a little bit less for the clap, if this makes sense. And also for the hi-hats could be maybe like longer the notes a little bit, but it's more about, you know, personal preference than, you know, it being a technical problem or not. So it's technically speaking, it's fine as it is. It probably already was fine how it was. It's just that I want to make them also like fit them into the context, like when the whole song is like super sustained, like all these long notes and like, you know, kind of like reverbed melodies and whatnot, then generally speaking you don't really want to introduce hi-hats that are like, you know, super transient and super short and like you know, like it's just generally speaking not really going to like be in the same vibe, you know, as everything else. So this is just my thought process behind, you know, adjusting these. It's not really that, you know, technically speaking we need to do this. It's just, you know, it's getting like everything a little bit more coherent with each other.
If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
Yeah, so I think at this point what I want to still do is to like adjust the
I hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know.
so this, just so it also cuts out at this point where it's supposed to be silence and there's no overflow.
I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know.
And just to be on the safe side, I'm also going to do the same with the harmonies, although there's like much less reverb or delays here. I mean, there's probably not even reverb here. Yeah, there's no reverb on this, but just to be sure.
That was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be.
Okay, so I think it's about time to set up the output chain. And I'm not even going to start this. I'm going to start with the output compression to see what works.
I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now if I come back, I'm yours to hold.
So the compression seems to be pretty like even, because the sustained bass, I believe.
If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you
Now what this means in terms of like practicality is that I can get away with more compression, therefore, you know, I can get away with like a little bit more headroom adjustment.
set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Maybe I don't deserve a happy end. I'm scared to let you know. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. What if I decide to give this my all? Yeah, the higher that we climb, the harder we fall. I don't wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yes.
Now, once again, this is going to be up to you, Sean, but I'm just thinking to add the harmonies to these two places.
I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours too. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. Be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free.
I want to find the spot where the vocal bottom pretty much ends, and then it flows into like this you know, middling region where the bass is already like not really present there, but there's also no vocals there, and so I just want to like reduce that a little bit, because there's also like not a lot of musicality going on, and it's going to help me with the separation from the bass and the higher regions, you know, from the bass, from the music itself, in a sense.
I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels...
The clickiness of the kick is a little bit still too much for me, so I'm gonna have to think about how to deal with this, because I at the same time I don't want to take away the brightness from it, so maybe this could be just you know, just you know, my OCD about these clicking kicks, but I don't know.
But now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes. But now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them.
I'm just going to put all these things that I'm not using anymore to the bottom, and let's group together the vocals. And I'm not sure if I need to write automation here, but this is the point where I would if I needed. Right now I just want to, like, you know, either compress or limit them together a little bit better. I think I'm just gonna limit them, because I kind of like the texture itself. It's just that I want them to not hit the peaks when they are playing like these sections together.
No way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them. I don't wanna end up all shattered in pieces, cleaning up the mess from my heart that was bleeding. I don't wanna hurt you, but I have to move on. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no way out. Set me free. If I come back, I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow.
Oh wait, I'm automating the wrong setting. What I want to do right now is I just want to like move the, you know, this thing a little bit in the stereo space to see if it works or not. Like, this might not work. I wanna like try it out.
I'm scared to let you know I'd rather be alone right now. I tried to take it slow, but now it feels like no free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. But now it feels like no way out. Set me free if I come back. I'm yours to hold. Yeah, sometimes if you love someone, you gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Gotta let them go.
I think it's pretty much done, and I think the the issues that I've heard in the rough mix are also fixed, and also hopefully it's some other creative difference, creative additions were added in a positive manner, but we'll let Sean decide this. And yeah, I think I'm going to the drums. Yeah, I'm going to send you this as a bounce, and then yeah, we'll see if you want to the drums to be replaced, and if yes, would be happy to do it. But I think for the vast majority of the things are solved. So I think this is like at first gonna be like 95% finished, and yeah. So I think I'm going to end the stream here. Also like 2.25 hours. It's I don't even listen to music like normally like for these long periods of time, but with me talking in between like doing stuff, it didn't really feel like that long. So yeah, thank you for everyone who tuned in for these streams, and thanks to Sean for sending me this song and letting me to work on it while streaming. And yeah, hopefully it was also like an informative stream, and hopefully you've heard you've listened to good music. And yeah, see you guys in the next stream. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, stream or collab with Sean breaking down, and yeah, see you in the next one.